And I'm joined by Andy of Skinny Knowledge. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, man. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it, bud.
No, thank you for having me on.
No problem at all. Now, as you know, as we air this, it will be the release date of your new album, 22, being launched. We're doing this obviously as part of an album launch show that we're going to run for you.
Yep.
You were kind enough to send across the album. I mean, talk about kicking off with a bang with rock with "I Wanna Rock and Roll," mate. What an opener!
Yeah, it was one of those songs that as soon as it kind of started getting written, it was instantly like, yeah, this needs to open the album. And we started opening our shows with it because kind of got that like drum beat that kind of kicks in, you can kind of get everyone involved and whatnot. And it just, yeah, it's just got a cool riff and it's just high energy and it's like, yeah, it's got to start the album really.
That's right, man. So obviously, with the album being launched, am I right in thinking that the previous release it was mainly yourself involved in it, and this was
Yes.
a band scenario?
Yeah, so the first album was just me on my own. It was kind of like a lockdown project because I started writing it before the pandemic, but when the pandemic hit, I was then obviously doing nothing, so I had even more time to write.
Yeah,
And I booked time into the studio. I recorded everything, wrote everything. Um, and even at the time when I was doing it, I wasn't really planning on like putting a band together. It was more of just a little project, and I thought I'll release it and kind of see what happens. But kind of as it was coming together, I thought actually this is really cool. I want to get a band. I want to play these songs live, you know. But yeah, so the first release was just me, and then yeah, kind of put the band together after that. We've had a few lineup changes, that kind of teething process because we're still pretty new. But I think we're there now finally with the lineup. Everyone's really sound and cool, and yeah, this album's been a bit more of a collaboration with everyone. I still did the drums on this album just because we were having a bit of a drummer nightmare, as it were. So for the last few months. So it's only been the last couple of months that we've now got a permanent drummer. But obviously we recorded the album back in like January or something. Um but yeah, so yeah, we've all kind of been on it a little bit more. I mean, I've still probably taken the reins on a lot of the writing. But you know, the other guys have obviously been involved and they've also played their parts in it, which is nice as well. So
So have you found as you obviously like sole captain of the ship on the first record with
yeah.
being yourself, and then obviously you're moving to much more of a band scenario. Obviously, you said you wanted to have that with Skinny Knowledge anyway. That's obviously why you brung other
Yeah.
went and got other people to come join the ranks, so to speak. How have you found that transition? Because that's got to be weird.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm first to admit, and the guys know, and they take the piss at me for it. You know that I am a control freak, so letting go some of that control was a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I am very much a kind of if I want something to be a certain way, it will be that way, no regardless of what everyone else says. But I realize that that's not necessarily fair when you know you've got other people that want to have their input and you know suggest things and I can't just be like, no, this is going to be my way. So, yeah, it was difficult, but you know, it's worked really nicely, and you know, it's nice to have other people's involvement now rather than it just being me. Although it doesn't mean that I need to listen to other people, which I'm not great at sometimes. So, no, yeah, it was a bit of a strange transition, but I'd like to think that I've done my best to include everyone now. So, yeah.
So when you were writing for this record, was there one song in particular that set the kind of trajectory off for the rest of the album, mate? Or
Um, the first two songs that were written for the album I think it was kind of June, July last year. And it was the first songs that I've written in months. So it was Going Up in Smoke, that was the first one. And then the next one was Goes Around, Comes Around.
no,
Um, and it was, yeah, it was kind of after that, probably the second one, Goes Around, Comes Around. That was kind of the like, yeah, this is where we want to go with this album. Um, the kind of sound is a little bit heavier, the songs are a bit angrier. Um, but it just kind of suited what I was writing at the time, and I think we all collectively kind of dug that sound, and kind of wanted to move forward with that kind of thing. You know, there's still elements of the kind of like pop punky stuff in there, but it's
hmm.
definitely I would say heavier than the first album. Um, and it was exciting for us to kind of venture into that sound a little bit more and you know be a bit more aggressive and you know um So yeah, it's probably those two songs definitely a bit heavier.
Was that
So
like a conscious decision to go heavier, or was that just the influences of the
no,
other come
I
to the
think, yeah, I think it was just influenced by how I was feeling at the time. And I started writing with Matt Bigland from Dinosaur Pile Up.
Oh,
And so I think five or maybe six of the songs on the album were co-written with him. So Going Up in Smoke and Goes Around Comes Around were the first two songs that I wrote with him. And obviously, we've got very similar influences. Some of the Dinosaur Pile Up stuff is a little bit heavier as well and a bit more riff orientated. So I think just working with him as well, it kind of brought out that slightly heavier side anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was a conscious decision of, yeah, let's go heavy on this one, or heavier at least. It just kind of, yeah, it just happened that way. And I think the stuff that I had to write about was a bit angrier. So I think the music just kind of followed that,
that makes sense. I mean, for me, this album, when I was listening to it, it sounds like if Alkaline Trio, Nirvana, and the Vines got into a room,
Yeah.
just thrashed it out. Um, so I was sort of interested, like you were talking, you're saying yourself and other guys had similar influences. So who were the guys that made you start to want to, pick up your guitar and write? Were you singing first, or was it guitar for you first?
So I was actually a drummer before anything else.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to be like full Dave Grohl now. um, but yeah, so I mean, I started learning drums when I was 11, I think. But I mean, within like 6 months, I think I picked up a guitar. So I basically said to my dad, I was like, I want to play an instrument. And they said, do you want to play guitar or drums? And I was like, I want to play both. And they're like, no, you pick one. You're not going to play both. You're 11 years old and you'll probably sack it off in 2 months anyway.
Yeah,
I chose drums, and then my dad bought a guitar like 6 months later. So I just started playing it anyway. So it kind of worked out. But yeah, so I mean, fronting a band, I've done a few times. I end up playing guitar and singing a lot more now. I don't really play drums that often anymore, which is a shame because I love playing drums. But I just get more work, guitaring and singing. And then yeah, when I put this band together, I thought, because I was the songwriter and the songs were, things that I've been through and whatever, I kind of felt like I want to be the person to sing them. So that's why I chose to sing in this. To be honest, I've forgotten what the question was.
just who your influences were and who
Oh,
those were.
influences, right? Okay, yes. Sorry, I just like diverted completely.
That's cool, man. It's like I say, this is an open chat, mate. I'm not here to interrogate you.
But I mean, influences. So Green Day am I have to be thankful for playing music because of them. When American Idiot came out, I was 10, and it was the first CD I ever got. My sister gave it to me. And something just clicked. When you just hear a record or you hear a song and you're like, yeah, I get it. And it just like it sat so at home with me. I remember the feeling so well, even though I was only 10 years old. And I just fell in love with it. And then I was like obsessed with Green Day. And I think that was like the main thing that made me want to pick up a guitar or play drums or whatever it was. Because I think that kind of music does make you want to play guitar. Like you think when you hear like da 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 da, and I'm like, I want to play that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
I don't think necessarily other genres of music might have that impact so much.
Not on you as young age, I don't think. No.
No, to make you want to pick up a guitar or play an instrument. I think that kind of punk rock thing is definitely more capturing. Is that a word? I guess like you hear it, and because it's not like super difficult, it makes you want to play it more because you think, oh, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and it's just exciting, that kind of music, isn't it? So I think it just struck well with me, and so definitely Green Day is up there for. I have to be thankful for actually playing music and it becoming my career, which is nice. I mean, other than that, Foo Fighters, as you said, Nirvana, Sum 41, I've always loved.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, I guess as a band, we're all kind of like 90s influenced, I guess. That kind of post grunge, pop punk, that kind of stuff. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really easy because American Idiot really blew up. Obviously, they've done the musical of it now. It's gone to Broadway, all that kind of thing. But I think it's really easy to overlook how much of an impact that album actually had. I mean, I'm a little older than you, so I was like 15 when that came out.
Yeah.
And I'd heard Dookie, and I was I went from, I mean, when I was 10, I saw Offspring do Pretty Fly for a White Guy on Top of the Pops and went, whoa, and then kind of went fully headfirst into the whole pop punk thing. Found Green Day along the journey. So I'd already been a fan of Green Day for a while by the time American Idiot came out.
Yeah.
But it was still like, when it came out, it still sucker punched me. It was still like, where did that come from? Where is that? It was like a sidetrack. So I think it's really, and because all the hits went there, and everybody thinks of American Idiot and Wake Me Up When September Ends, but I think it's really because the singles were so good, and they released a lot of them for that album.
I think it was like 6 singles off of that album. Like literally, like half of the album was singles, and they're all like stupidly successful as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think it's easy to sort of think about those singles and kind of misjudge the impact the album had on the scene.
Yeah,
I don't think, and I don't like to say this about any artist, because I think any artist who's producing work are obviously always trying to make whatever they believe to be their best record at that point. I don't think they've ever quite got there yet. I think they've got some, like one Under 12 was great. And other albums they've released since then was been brilliant. But I don't know, there's some certain times just the stars align and there's a magical moment for a band. And I think that was definitely American Idiot for Green Day.
Yeah, I think it was a massive relaunch for them. Obviously, Dookie, when it came out, was huge. And then the following, 3-4 albums were, they were good. I mean, I love them because I'm a huge Green Day nut, so I think they're all great. But they weren't as commercially successful, and they were kind of on this downwards trajectory a little bit. And then American Idiot came out, and it was just like, whoa. As you said, it was just such a, I think the marketing campaign they'd obviously done with it, like the record label just probably put so much money into it because they knew it was great. And I think it was a whole movement, as it were. And I think like politically at the time, obviously it was relevant and whatnot. So yeah, and I think it was just they'd taken a bit of a turn and they'd gone for this like rock opera type thing. And it just, like you said, it worked in that moment in time. And yeah, I don't think they've done, well, not think, they haven't done anything as good since. And I don't know if they ever will, but they still make great music. And I mean, they're literally teasing new music at the moment. I know they're putting like little snippets out on Instagram because they've got a song coming out next week, I think. So
yeah, I saw that teaser coming around.
Exciting. I'm getting like, as soon as they like tease new music, I become like a 13-year-old kid again. I'm like, out again.
There's certain bands that just still do it too, isn't there? Like,
yeah.
Especially, I think if they've had that impact on you at that age. Like for me, like I was brought up around a lot of decent music and stuff. My dad loved his rock and his blues, so I was brought up around Zeppelin and Sabbath and stuff like that. But you go and find your own things. And for me, any time to this day, Slipknot or Korn bring out a new track, there's still that bit of me that's like, oh, what's it like? Is it good?
Yeah. And you just don't want to be disappointed, do you? Because they're like your little baby that you've loved for so long, and you're just like, please be good.
Please still be good.
Yeah.
So what I loved on the album, go back to your own record, mate, the production on it, going back, which clearly influenced now by you just mentioned your influences there. There's a really good raw quality on this. It's really, really punk rock quality to the production on it. It's really, which I love. I mean, for me, there's plenty of music albums that I like that are produced, and obviously depending on the style of music you're doing, that's going to suit it. But for me, I really love production where it feels like capturing a moment and capturing the lightning in the bottle, so to speak. And really felt that on this record. Yeah,
the first album was a bit more produced in the sense that it was a bit cleaner, everything was a bit tighter, but that's just kind of how I wanted to do it at that moment in time. And then with this one, I think because of the style or the sound of the songs was a little bit kind of grungier, it was a bit dirtier. I think it kind of suited that more raw sounding recording. So we didn't go super heavy into production and stuff like that. And it just, I think it sounds a little bit more like it's 4 guys in a room playing rather than like everything's really spot on and perfect and stuff. Like obviously everything's still like, we're not playing out of time, but it just, it does sound
just that energy about it rather than
there's more energy, and it's not as polished, which I like. I think it is nice, and it means that I think the songs are going to translate better like when we actually go and play them live as well. I think it'll capture that kind of energy again, and it'll sound more authentic when we're playing them live, because that's the kind of sound that we went for on the album. You know, the drums they're big and they're loud and boisterous, and the guitars are really gritty and in your face, and you know, so I think that's going to translate well when we get around to playing it live, which is cool. So yeah, that was a conscious decision, I think, to have that kind of recording style. I think
it works, especially with the sort of album that you've created. I think if you'd, you know, don't get me wrong, like you're saying, your first one might have been a bit more polished on the last release.
Yeah.
But, suited what you were writing at the time. It's just if you've got that energy about it, I think it should show. And sometimes having that raw production really does make it sing more than you think it might. Putting it on a, you know, on a big polished production, sometimes it just takes that energy away, I feel. But
yeah, and I don't think that many bands are doing it anymore. Like, I think everything is super perfect and polished and pitch whatever, you know, pitch corrected and stuff, and it's so to the grid, and it's just like you said, it kind of sucks out a bit of the life out of it, I think. So I think, you know, we're kind of proud to be like, yeah, do you know what, this isn't perfect, but that's what makes it perfect in a way. Like, and I don't think enough bands are doing it anymore, so it was nice to kind of step out from that like more modern sounding, I guess, and go a little bit more retro.
So you're talking about obviously you're talking about obviously like when the you know, getting to play these songs live. Are there any particular songs on the album that you're really looking forward to launch upon a live audience?
So I mean, we've been playing a handful of them anyway, over the last few shows. As you mentioned earlier, I Wanna Rock and Roll is a really good one. We start the shows with it now, gets everyone involved straight away, get people singing along, so that's always really fun. We've recently started playing Strikeout.
Nice.
That's a really exciting one to play. It's got a really cool breakdown in it. The chorus is really like just 4 to the floor, like Sum 41, like punk rock kind of thing. What am I looking forward to playing? I'm looking forward to trying. We haven't actually played it yet. The second heavy metal interlude.
Oh, have you not played that yet?
No. So that one was I think it was me and Max, and we were pretty drunk, and we were sat here, and we wanted to write another heavy metal minute and a half thing.
Yeah.
And it was a case of, yeah, let's make it as difficult as we can possibly do it. And we're like, yeah, we came up with this riff, like programmed in all the drums on the computer, and they're like ridiculous. And then when I had to come around to recording it, I was like, oh my God, I can't play it. But yeah, so I mean, that's gonna be a challenging one, but luckily it is only like a minute and a half long, so we can just smash through it and hope for the best, and then just be like, oh, it's done. Trying to think what else.
I mean, I think you played Up in Smoke when I saw you at Made of Stone.
Don't think we played that one. Might have been Goes Around Comes Around. I think we were maybe playing that one.
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Don't think we played Going Up in Smoke, because we played that last year, when just after I'd first written it. I don't actually think we've played it since. But we're getting into rehearsals now, ready for, because we got the launch show, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, we've got that coming up, so we're getting into rehearsals now, ready for it. So we can actually start kind of putting it all together, and because a lot of the songs were written kind of here in a studio environment rather than being in a room together.
Got you.
So kind of bring all the songs here, and we come up with all the parts, and then kind of track it down and stuff. So some of these songs we haven't even played like as a full band yet, so we kind of need to figure them out. So yeah, but no, it's gonna be cool. Can't wait. Play.
So, well, you mentioned it there. We might as well talk about it. The album launch show there. So, when you're doing the album launch show, are you going to be running through the whole thing front to end?
I think that's the plan. Yeah. We were umming and ahhing whether to kind of just drop the new songs in throughout. But I think it just makes more sense to, you know, the album is one thing, so I think we should just play it front to back. So I think we're going to do that. We probably open with, I don't know, maybe a couple of our other originals, play the album, and then finish with like a few of our other songs at the end or something, and just kind of sandwich the album in the middle somewhere. That's the plan.
Where are you hosting that again?
It is at the Anvil in Bournemouth on
nice.
17th of November, Friday, 17th of November.
Oh, wicked. So in just a couple of weeks away, then not long to go now, then, mate.
Yeah, 4 weeks. I don't know. Yeah, 4 weeks, I think. 4 weeks tomorrow. No, well, a time of recording. 3 weeks from when it's aired.
Yeah. That's the one. That sounds like big. You got any more live shows up leading up to the end of the year? I know you've we were talking about it before we press record. I obviously you got announced for Love Rocks, which is a great festival for next summer, but I don't know if you've got anything lined up.
Yeah, we've got I don't know for the rest of this year. I think we're now just focusing on next year because I think it's getting to that point now where it's kind of leading up to Christmas and no one really cares about going to gigs anymore. So we're gonna focus on next year. We're opening for Jack J. Hutchinson in London on the 8th of February.
Yeah, I saw because that's for his
That's his album release party. So we're super excited for that. It's going to be our first time in London. So yeah, buzzing for that. It's a really cool venue. I think I might have played there with a previous band. But yeah, we're really looking forward to getting up there and doing that. Yeah, as you mentioned, Love Rocks. When is that? Is that June?
I think June next year. Yeah.
I think I'm actually seeing Foo Fighters the night before, so I'm gonna be pretty tired for that one.
Oh, you managed to get tickets for that, did you?
Yeah, we're going to see him at whatever stadium it is in London on I think the Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then we're doing Love Rocks on the Friday, I think.
I'm assuming Mr. Freeze will still be doing the drums at that point, but
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah. But yeah, so you've got Love Rocks and then a few other bits in the pipeline, which I don't think have been announced yet, so I can't say. But there is more festivals to come. I think we're lining up a couple of tours as well. And just getting out there. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but you know, we haven't actually gigged that much. Like, we're not super experienced gigging yet because we have had a few lineup changes and because of COVID and that kind of stuff. We only really, I mean, we had our launch show only like 2 years ago, so
yeah,
and everything's kind of been on a little bit on the back burner with lineups and gigs and tours and stuff. Like, everything's just been pushed back, and so it's all been like prearranged from like 5 years ago, and they're still happening. So I think we're kind of at the end of that now. So we're being able to like get on some festivals and get on some gigs that aren't already prearranged, you know. So yeah, so we're really looking forward to just getting out and just, you know, getting on a few tours and playing some cool areas, some cool venues, meeting lots of new people, and yeah, just spreading the Skinny name.
Well, you mentioned the gigs you've already done, man. Like, so I watched you at Made a Stone Festival earlier this year. The crowd to really, really respond well to. There was a great atmosphere in the tent. You know, what was your experience of? How was it from your side of the coin, so to speak?
It was early, is what it was. I think we got up at like 5:30 in the morning, left at 6 to get there because we had the opening 11:30 slot on the. Was it the Saturday we played? I think it was the Saturday.
Saturday when it was first day, yeah.
And we were thinking, we're like,
oh, God, the whole main
who's
thing.
going to be up at who's going to be up at 11:30 in the morning? But yeah, we had a great crowd. Like, the tent was really busy, and everyone. I think we warmed them up nicely, ready for the rest of the weekend. So, I think it was the first gig for us that we've kind of played in front of that, you know, the new wave of classic rock kind of crowd and emerging rock bands and all these kind of folk. I think it's the first time that we've actually managed to play in front of a lot of these people. But because we've been on their radars for like the last couple of years with releases and stuff like that, I think maybe there were quite a lot of people there that were intrigued that that they can actually come and see us for the first time. So, you know, I think we've made a little bit of a name for ourselves so far. So I think that's why people thought, oh, we've got the chance to go and see him. And I know it's 11:30, but you know, let's do it. Let's go and do it. So, but yeah, so we had a really good response. You know, heard back from lots of people that they really enjoyed it and stuff. And I think we picked up some fans. So job done, I guess. Yeah.
Always a good sign, mate. Always a good sign.
No, it's a really cool festival and it's really well run as well. And, you know, the organisers are really accommodating and fingers crossed might be back there next year. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we'd love to go back. And I was actually there 2 weeks after at the same, because they do Rock the Moat there as well. And it's the same organisers. So I was there because I do a Green Day tribute, funnily enough.
Oh, right.
Called Dookie. And yeah, we played there 2 weeks later on the main stage. And we're like out there and there's like thousands of people. And it's like, yeah, it's great.
I saw the photos from there actually, because I got chatting. I had Chris, one of the organisers, on the show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had Chris on the show just to help, you know, give the festival a push and all that, with it being the the first one over there. So I got to know Chris a little bit. Yeah, and I saw some of the photos from the tribute festival. It looked like they had more of a crowd there than they did for Made of Stone. It looked like a really, really busy crowd.
Yeah, I mean they had I think they still had 2 or 3 stages. They had the main stage, which is the one that we played on, which is more like the rock, like the commercially kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think you had a metal stage. So you had like Korn, Sabbath, I think they had Metallica, Slipknot, that kind of stuff. And then they had a little pop stage for like just the little solo singers like Robbie Williams and Takeover and stuff like that, which like I don't think many people cared about. But yeah, I mean the crowd, we were really lucky when we played our Dookie set. Without tooting our own horn, I think we probably had one of the biggest crowds of the weekend. It was really, really good. And luckily the sun held out literally, I think, until like the last song, and then it just absolutely hammered it down. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people, but it was a really decent crowd on that main stage. So that was very cool.
Now we just got to transfer all those fans of who liking your Green Day
Yeah.
covers over to Skinny for the Green Day infused in influence.
We've done we played at Yardbirds in Grimsby earlier this year as Dookie, and I took the opportunity. I was like, do we need a support band? And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And I was like, cool, well, that'll be me. So basically I just supported myself, which is pretty cool. So we managed to, because the thing is with tribute shows, the tickets kind of sell themselves because you don't really have to do anything, because people just go because they like Green Day. So
yeah, they just want to hear those songs. Yeah.
So I think, we hadn't been up there before and we still managed to sell like 350 tickets.
Nice.
So, it was a great opportunity for Skinny to get up there and play in front of, a couple of hundred new people that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do otherwise. So, yeah, so I'm kind of like trying to worm Skinny in through my other projects and bands that I'm doing.
Mate, you got to use whatever tools you can in this game.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
So what does the rest of the year hang out on into next year plan wise? Is it solely focusing on, promoting 22? Are you, got ideas when maybe writing tail end of next year, or what you got in?
I think for the time being, just obviously going to focus on this album, promote it, tour it, and then, I'm always open to writing stuff. Tomorrow might be a day where I think, oh, I'm going to write a song. Like, you never know. But there's no plans at the moment. I haven't really thought that far ahead yet, I think. But yeah, we'll just wait and see. I think maybe towards the end of next year, we might look at, starting to put some songs together. I mean, I've still got like 10 or 11 songs kind of in the bank at the moment, or more like ideas per se. I mean, there's 2 or 3 songs that are actually finished, which just didn't get put on the album.
Okay.
Whether they'll be put on the next one, who knows? But yeah, I think as the band starts gigging more as well, and we start playing together more, and it kind of gels a bit better, and I think we'll probably end up jamming a bit more and writing maybe like in a more live setting rather than in a studio setting. So it'll be nice to kind of see how that evolves naturally as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to do some more writing with Matt.
How did that writing come about, by the way? How did you end up pairing up with Matt?
So he set up a Patreon a couple of years ago, and I messaged him through that, and it was basically like he was doing like a monthly fee, and you could send him some demos, and he would come back and like give some ideas and opinions and advice on what you can do to like better the song or anything like that. So I initially signed up to that, but I think I only did it for like 1 month, and then I think like my old dog died or something, so we had loads of expenses to pay for that. So I cancelled it, but we kind of kept in contact. And then last year, after my personal stuff that happened, I was in a real ditch and I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to write anything. I kind of wanted to pick myself out of it. And I thought, well, rather than trying to motivate myself on my own, I thought I'll message Matt. So we'd still kept in contact, and I messaged him and said, look, do you just want to write a song? Like, we'll just spend a day. We did it over Zoom. And yeah, and that kind of like reignited the fire a little bit for me, and we came up with Going Up in Smoke, and it was like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do more of that. So yeah, we wrote a couple more, and then I think towards the end of last year, he said, oh, I've just like got a new studio. Do you want to come down? Which is in Hastings. So went to a studio and actually hung out in person, which is the first time that we'd met properly, and wrote a couple of songs over a couple of days in his new studio. And yeah, it was really sick. Like, got on really well. And as I said, because what they do and what we do is quite similar, we love the same music and stuff like that. So we just naturally got on very well. And also with the first Dinosaur Pile-Up album, he also recorded everything. So he's also a multi-instrumentalist. So that kind of like mutual ground,
Yeah,
it's quite nice.
lined up on a few points.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I was a little bit, when I met him, I was a little bit like, oh my God, it's Matt Biglin. Because I love Dinosaur Pile-Up. Like, they're one of my favorite bands. And I was like, oh my God, it's him. But I had to like really try and like play it cool. It's like, oh yeah, hey dude, like, how's it going? Yeah, cool, man. Inside I'm like, oh my God. But no, he was sound, and yeah, it was really cool. So when we stayed in contact since, and yeah, I think we'll end up writing some more at some point, which would be really cool. So
Cool, man. Well, as you say, as you know, on this show, we are celebrating the release of 22 and giving you a full launch party. So the platform's yours, man. What would you like to say to anyone listening, who's not heard you guys before, who maybe have heard the singles that we're gonna and the tracks we're gonna play across the show, is enjoying it, and yeah, what would you say to them in terms of what you're up to and the album itself?
buy our stuff.
I like that. Simple.
Yeah, buy our stuff. Even if you don't like it, buy it. That's what I have to say. No, I think hopefully, this album is going to reach some more people and people are going to dig it. And, hopefully everyone, I think the response to the first 3 singles has been really positive. So hopefully the album has as good as impact as those. And yeah, I mean, all joking aside, obviously stream our stuff, amazing. That'll be awesome. You can go on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and all that rubbish. But buying stuff does actually put the money in our pockets. So, and it helps us out massively and means that we can afford to record stuff and promote it and whatever. So but yeah, so you can buy our stuff online, so you can buy the CDs. I think we might be getting vinyls done for next year. T-shirts, and buy a ticket to a show and come and experience it and mosh about and punch people in the face. Have a good time.
Well, mate, it's been great to chat to you, Andy. So thanks for your time, pal. I say we are going to do this part launch, so we'll be playing a few of the songs off the album throughout the whole thing. And I'll get your number off this, and we'll what we'll do is we'll get some of your favourite songs also to play interspersely with Skinny Knowledge as well, some of your influence as well, which will be cool. But I say we are going to play a few songs off of it. But at the beginning of the interview, I've set aside to play Don't Turn Out the Lights, because I really, really enjoyed that particular track. But what song off the album would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
What, from the new album? Probably Strikeout.
Strikeout?
Yeah. I think that'd be a good one.
Nice one. We'll lock that in, man. And yeah, thanks for your time, Andy, mate. Good to chat to you.
Yeah, man. Lovely to chat.
No worries.
Catch you soon, mate.
See you, man.